Mula Malunkyaya Sutta, the shorter discourse to Malunkyaya Buddha. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's spa. Then, while the Venerable Malunkyaya Buddha was alone in meditation, the following thought arose in his mind. These speculative views have been undeclared by the Blessed One, set aside and rejected by him, namely, the world is eternal, and the world is not eternal. The world is finite, the world is infinite. The soul is the same as the body, and the soul is one thing and the body another. After death, the Tathagata exists. After death, the Tathagata does not exist. After death, the Tathagata both exists and does not exist. And after death, the Tathagata neither exists nor does not exist. The Blessed One does not declare these to me, and I do not approve of and accept the fact that he does not declare these to me. So I shall go to the Blessed One and ask him the meaning of this. If he declares to me either the world is eternal or the world is not eternal, etc., then I will lead the holy life under him. If he does not declare these to me, then I will abandon the training and return to the lower life. Stop here for a moment. So this Venerable Malunkyaya Buddha, instead of putting his mind on his meditation object, his mind is starting to stray and thinking why the Buddha did not explain all these views to him that external sect teachers accept. So the Buddha never mentioned any one of these. So he's starting to doubt the Buddha. And he says if the Buddha does not explain all these to him, he will disrobe and go back to the lay life. Then when it was evening, the Venerable Malunkyaya Buddha rose from meditation and went to the Blessed One. After paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and told him, "Dear Venerable Sir, while I was alone in meditation, the following thought arose in my mind. These speculative views have been undeclared by the Blessed One. If he does not declare these to me, then I will abandon the training and return to the lower life. If the Blessed One knows the world is eternal, let the Blessed One declare to me the world is eternal. If the Blessed One knows the world is not eternal, let the Blessed One declare to me the world is not eternal. If the Blessed One does not know either the world is eternal or the world is not eternal, then it is straightforward for one who does not know and does not see to say, I do not know, I do not see. If the Blessed One knows the world is finite, the world is infinite, the soul is the same as the body, etc., let the Blessed One declare to me. If the Blessed One knows, let the Blessed One declare that to me. If the Blessed One does not know, then it is straightforward for one who does not know and does not see to say, I do not know, I do not see. Let's stop here for a moment. So you see this arrogant disciple is come to challenge the Buddha, whether the Buddha knows or not. I have to declare to him, otherwise he doesn't want to continue to be a disciple of the Buddha. Then the Buddha said, how then, Malunkyaya Buddha, did I ever say to you, come Malunkyaya Buddha, lead the holy life under me, and I will declare to you the world is eternal, or the world is not eternal, etc. No, Venerable Sir. Then did you ever tell me, I will lead the holy life under the Blessed One, and the Blessed One will declare to me the world is eternal, or the world is not eternal, etc. No, Venerable Sir. That being so, misguided man, who are you and what are you abandoning? I stop here for a moment. So the Buddha is telling him, when you came to be my disciple, did I ever tell you that I will declare all these things to you? Did I make this bargain? He said no. And then when you came to be my disciple, did you say that I must declare all these things to you when you become my disciple? And he says no. Then the Buddha said, foolish man, we did not set up these terms, so who are you to say all these things? And the Buddha continued, if anyone should say thus, I will not lead the holy life under the Blessed One, until the Blessed One declares to me the world is eternal or the world is not eternal, etc., that would still remain undeclared by the Tathagata, and meanwhile that person would die. Suppose, Malunkyaya Buddha, a man were wounded by an arrow, thickly smeared with poison. and his friends and companions, his kinsmen and relatives, brought the surgeon to treat him. The man would say, I will not let the surgeon pull out this arrow until I know whether the man who wounded me was a noble or a Brahmin, or a merchant or a worker. And he would say, I will not let the surgeon pull out this arrow until I know the name and clan of the man who wounded me, or until I know whether the man who wounded me was tall or short or of middle height, or until I know whether the man who wounded me was dark or brown or golden skin, or until I know whether the man who wounded me lives in such a village or town or city, or until I know whether the bow that wounded me was a long bow or a crossbow, or until I know whether the bowstring that wounded me was fiber or reed or sinew or hemp or bark, or until I know whether the shaft that wounded me was wild or cultivated, or until I know with what kind of feathers the shaft that wounded me was fitted, whether those of a vulture or a crow or a hawk or a peacock or a stork, or until I know with what kind of sinew the shaft that wounded me was bound, whether that of an ox or a buffalo or a lion or a monkey, or until I know what kind of arrow it was that wounded me, whether it was hoof-tipped or curved or barbed or calf-toothed or oleander. All this would still not be known to that man, and meanwhile he would die. So too, Malunkhya Buddha, if anyone should say thus, I will not lead the holy life under the Blessed One, until the Blessed One declares to me, the world is eternal, or the world is not eternal, etc., that would still remain undeclared by the Tathagata, and meanwhile that person would die. Stop here for a moment. This is a very classic simile that the Buddha is teaching here, that if a man was wounded, fatally wounded with an arrow thickly smeared with poison, and a surgeon wants to pull out the arrow, he says he will not let the surgeon pull out the arrow until he knows who's the man who wounded him, where he comes from, and what type of arrow, what type of bow, etc. And if he wants to know all these things, he will die before all these things are answered. So the Buddha says in the same way, if a person renounces and then he wants to know all these unbeneficial questions, then he would die before all these are answered. Malunkhya Buddha, if there is the view the world is eternal, the holy life cannot be lived. And if there is the view the world is not eternal, the holy life cannot be lived. Whether there is the view the world is eternal, or the view the world is not eternal, there is birth, there is aging, there is death, there are sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair, the destruction of which I prescribe here and now. If there is the view the world is finite, the world is infinite, the soul is the same as the body, etc., the holy life cannot be lived. Whether there is the view after death the Tathaga exists or not, there is birth, there is aging, there is death, there are sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair, the destruction of which I prescribe here and now. Therefore, Malunkhya Buddha, remember what I have left undeclared as undeclared. I remember what I have declared as declared. And what have I left undeclared? The world is eternal, that I have left undeclared. The world is not eternal, I have left undeclared. The world is finite, I have left undeclared. The world is infinite, I have left undeclared. The soul is the same as the body, I have left undeclared, etc., etc. All these I have left undeclared. Why have I left that undeclared? Because it is unbeneficial. It does not belong to the fundamentals of the holy life. It does not lead to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. That is why I have left it undeclared. And what have I declared? This is suffering, I have declared. This is the origin of suffering, I have declared. This is the cessation of suffering, I have declared. This is the way leading to the cessation of suffering, I have declared. Why have I declared that? Because it is beneficial. It belongs to the fundamentals of the holy life. It leads to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to nibbana. That is why I have declared it. Therefore, Malunkhya Buddha, remember what I have left undeclared as undeclared, and remember what I have declared as declared. That is what the Blessed One said. Remember, Malunkhya Buddha was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. That's the end of the sutta. So you see here, the Buddha has taken a lot of trouble to explain to him why the Buddha does not declare all these views, because it has nothing to do with the holy life. It does not help you to attain Nibbana, to attain enlightenment and end birth, aging, dying, sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair, all that sorrow. But the Buddha says, he declares the Four Noble Truths because it is beneficial, because it belongs to the fundamentals of the holy life, and leads to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, direct knowledge, enlightenment and Nibbana. That's why the Buddha declares the Four Noble Truths. So the Buddha said, what he has not taught is not important. What he has taught is important. That's why he only teaches what is important to us. So there's one sutta. One day the Buddha was talking to his disciples. He took up a handful of leaves in his hand and he asked his disciples, which is more, the leaves in my hand or the leaves in the forest? And the disciples said, the leaves in your hand are very few compared to the leaves in the forest. Bhagavan. So the Buddha said, in the same way, what I know is like the leaves in the forest. What I teach is like the leaves in my hand. So what the Buddha teaches is just the essentials. What he knows, a lot of things are not important to us. If we want to know too many things, we will die before we can know all these things. So life is too short. Our problem is that life, the cycle of rebirths, births and rebirths is suffering. So our problem is to end our suffering, not to find out a lot of things about this world.